And today I'm Alice Alicia Jones of Rays of Healing Church, and today it's my extreme pleasure to introduce Dr. Betel Aklilu, and
Yes.
who has her training from chiropractic school in New York City, and I'll let her go over that. But she is going to introduce us to something that, frankly, even though I had 14 years of chiropractic um, practice that I partook in, had no idea that that you could specialize in anything to do with pregnancy. So I am super excited to hear the information that Dr. Betel has, and we will let you tell us anything that you want to share with us about your background, because I know that's important too.
Well, thank you, Alice. Thank you for everyone who's joined. I'm very excited. I'm a touch nervous as well. So if I get too nervous, you
Don't
see
be
me take
nervous.
breaths, you know why. So I'm very excited. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you. I'm going to tell you more about myself at the end of the presentation, actually. Can everyone hear me? Yes, okay. I'm going to tell you more about myself at the end of the presentation, just to make sure that we have enough time to get through everything. I hope I'm not going to overwhelm everyone, but I do have a lot that I want to share and throw in some stories in there as well. So we'll just jump in and get started. So Alice, you did a beautiful job by pronouncing my name. Most people cannot pronounce Betel, so I go by Dr. A. So if anyone's having trouble with that, Dr. A is just perfectly fine. Dr. Betel is more than fine as well. So if you have any questions, though, there will be time at the end for questions. So the name of my practice is Kalai Chiropractic and Wellness Boutique. So Kalai is an Ethiopian word meaning from above. And these birds are a symbol for me that there is someone always looking out for you from above. And through the time of this practice, I've seen it to mean, it's a symbolic reminder for me that there is a power and there is a healing presence around all of us. And so this practice has a lot of meaning for me. I created it, and part of the reason why I wanted to do this talk today is because I created this space to be a healing space. It is truly a manifestation of my own personal healing journey. After a loss I experienced, I decided, I'm really going to put my all into this practice and create a space for chiropractic that's a little different from what I've seen in other places. So a little bit, here we go. So chiropractic care for mom and baby, innate intelligence, baby and pregnancy from the chiropractic lens. So like Alice said, many people don't realize that chiropractic care is truly in its basis intended to be for everyone and to be completely outside of the scope of pain management and pain practice. A lot of what brings people into chiropractic care or has brought people into chiropractic care in the past is pain. So people are experiencing pain, whether it be neck pain or back pain or, any point of pain somewhere in the body, and somehow somebody says, oh, chiropractic care can help. And from there, they experience chiropractic care, and then they enter into this beautiful realm of wellness journey, right? Now we're getting adjusted, not because we have pain, but because we want to maintain good alignment. So I'll continue. And I will talk about a little bit more about what chiropractic is in future slides, but bear with me until we get there. So this slide here says, just imagine if we were to have one generation of consciously conceived children that were wonderfully supported in the womb and had as natural a birth experience as possible, how would that change the planet? So again, I'll explain a little bit more as we go, but I want everyone to really think about this. If birthing people were getting adjusted or were routinely thinking about their wellness, how would that change and impact future generations? This quote here says, "The womb is the child's first world, and how he experiences it as a friendly or hostile creates personality and character predispositions." So when we think about life and we think about how we've come to be, right, we have to remember that our very first days, our very first moments, our very first world is in the womb. So these moments have a profound impact on who we are and today, not just who we were as children, but who we are today. So what is innate intelligence? What is healing? Who does healing? What does healing, right? And so when we think about healing in general, there are so many different places that our minds will go to, right? My ask is that we think about this idea of innate intelligence, and innate intelligence can be, defined really however anyone wants to define it. Here is one definition of innate intelligence that I find very interesting. It states here, innate intelligence remains an untestable enigma that isolates chiropractic and impedes its acceptance as a legitimate health science. So I consciously chose to put this definition first. And the reason I've done this is because the world of chiropractic, though, as Alice mentioned earlier, has become a lot more mainstream. People are starting to really understand it. It's gained popularity, it's gained acceptance. But in my personal opinion, part of what has really excluded chiropractic from the medical realm or the health sciences or this legitimacy of science is this idea of innate intelligence. Does innate intelligence exist? What does it mean? Can it be tested? All of these questions come about. So, and not just in the scope of chiropractic versus the rest of the medical community, but really amongst other chiropractors as well. What is an innate intelligence? Are we understanding the body to be manifesting pain because, there's something going on with the disc, or is there something deeper? All of these different ways of taking a look at the body from a holistic standpoint. So here's another definition of innate intelligence. This is by a chiropractor. We are all born with an innate intelligence within our bodies that allows us to function, heal, energize, metabolize, and simply be. Without us telling or teaching it how to do anything, it simply knows how to perform many tasks that we don't even think about before doing them. So here's another perspective, right? And personally, I align more with this idea. Definitely have to understand that there's science and the beauty and the power of science. But then there's also this other component that I think is so beautiful that is ununderstood or perhaps not well understood, that there is this innate intelligence, innate programming of the body that connects the mind, body, the spirit, reminds us what to do and how to heal. For example, I tell everyone in my office, if you were to cut your skin, right? If there were a break in the skin, the cells know how to respond. This is a barrier. Scientifically, everything is happening. When that process does not happen in the way that it should, then we start to have problems. We go into a pathology of some sort. Are we having, do we not have enough white blood cells to get to repairing this process? So lots of different things completely within the realm of science as well. But I believe that there's definitely a beautiful innate intelligence in the body that allows it to function, so to speak. So now talking about baby, right? So where does chiropractic and this idea of the body knows how to work and how to manifest and how to heal, well, how does that then relate to baby, right? So before we talk about pregnancy, let's just talk about, so there's a birthing person, there's someone who's pregnant, and we have a baby in utero. Baby in utero is learning, number one, learning, making decisions, which I think is super important because these are the very first decisions you've ever made, and it was way before you were ever delivered. Baby is listening, baby is learning, baby is touching. Touch begins at 12 weeks, motion earlier on. We've got taste happening in 14 weeks, smell at 14 weeks, hearing at 16, vision at 20. I mean, babies are making so many decisions and learning and evolving in their development while in utero. So what does all of this mean, right? And then we're going to connect all of this later to healing, and we're going to connect all of it to chiropractic. So the experiences in the womb and birth really create what are known as birth imprints, okay? So birth imprints are defined, or can be defined, as any experience that affects a baby. It could be physically, it could be chemically, it could be emotionally. Birth imprints can have short-term or long-term effects, and birth imprints can be both positive and both negative. Okay, so when we talk about imprints, we're really keying into an aspect that is not quite well understood, but has been studied and is quite interesting and can really open up windows to conversations and understanding our sense of self and who we are and how we heal and how we make decisions. So there's this concept of epigenetics, and I'm not sure how much everyone here understands epigenetics. But epigenetics is defined as the study of how our behaviors and our environment can cause changes. So if we think about this, if we think about the behaviors of a pregnant person, are we making the choice to so many things. Are we making the choice to consume alcohol or not consume alcohol? Are we making the choice to eat well or eat poorly? Are we making the choice to, sleep regularly, or go to the chiropractor, or drink plenty of water? Or are we choosing to work throughout our pregnancy and race and stress? Or all of these different decisions, they have an impact on on baby's environment and experiences. But then these experiences can also lead to other experiences that you have throughout life, which are then passed on to future generations. So imprints can be, it can be a vast topic, and we can go many different places with this. So I'm interested to hear if there are questions at the end as it regards to birth imprints. But imprints are most profound when there are endorphins that are released, which are pleasure hormones, or catecholamines that are released, which are stress hormones. And these hormonal changes that baby is experiencing have a vast impact on body, mind, and emotional well-being and health. And all of this is occurring prior to birth. And then I wanted to touch on trauma too, because trauma and understanding our trauma and traumatic experiences are so important in our healing. And I know in chiropractic, we think first and foremost about our physical healing, right, and our joint healing, but really where I kind of want to draw some of the bridges is towards nervous system healing and making sure that we have a good, well-functioning nervous system. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go on. So let's go on here. So imprints, what do imprints affect? They affect our physiology, how well are our cells working, they affect our psychology, so if we are imprinted very early on, as being unwanted, or we're imprinted on the other hand as being a very wanted child, that has an impact, and that can influence a baby's behavior, a baby's personality. It can influence our belief systems, because again, when we really think about it, our behaviors, our understanding, what we've learned, those imprints are the foundations of who we become and how we think and how we choose to navigate this world. So there's this concept of memory crying, and I won't spend too much time on this, but sometimes, not sometimes, but in psychology, they really have studied this concept of memory crying. When moms or dads bring in a baby and, it's a diagnosis of colic, and there's really no explanation of why is baby crying all the time? Baby's being fed, we're rocking baby to sleep, we're really not understanding what's going on. Sometimes, in some instances, it's been known to be what's called a memory cry. This is a child simply trying to express feelings of anger. It could be rage, it could be sadness, it could be grief, it could be anxiety. So allow me to take a moment. I've worked with a kiddo who, this kiddo came in and he was a twin in utero, and mom brought this kiddo in because, she said the doctors have said he's delayed, he's not picking things up as quickly as other kids. He's got this high-pitched cries sometimes. He doesn't eat well. She's picked up on lots of different things throughout his development, and she really just did not know what else to do. So somehow, so what happened with this particular instance, I just happened to walk into the office one day. She was the secretary, she was the receptionist, and it was a physical therapy office, and I was just saying hello and introducing myself, and I gave her my card and I said, this is who I am and this is what I do, and I work with kids, and there's so much to know about a child's nervous system. And when we talk about chiropractic care, we have to talk about nervous system support and nervous system care and what that is. And so I didn't hear from her, and I wasn't expecting to hear from her. Months down the line, she calls me and she says, hey, my kiddo is experiencing X, Y, and Z, right? So she goes down this list of, he doesn't do this, and I'm worried about this, and I just want the best for him. And I say, okay, bring him in. So as I'm listening to this story, this child has experienced so much in utero. His twin passed away before birth. He had experienced, trauma. Mom was physically abused during her pregnancy. It was a very rough pregnancy. And she said, no one asked me what was going on. none of my providers asked me what was going on at home. And I had no idea that any of this could impact my child. So one of the things that I asked her to do, as it's been a long process of adjusting, of watching his development, looking at the different things that we could do in terms of adjustments and exercises. But it also included me asking Mom, I need you to have a conversation with your child and to talk to your child and say, hey, this is what happened. These are some of the things that happened very, very early on. And what was mind-blowing, she never understood why he didn't like dolls, right? So this child had this huge aversion to dolls. And as I'm listening to the story, I'm picking up on things and I go, wait, so I have a baby doll in my office, and the baby doll I use to demonstrate, okay, Mom, this is what I'm going to do. Here, Dad, I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to push here and there. This is what, baby doll. Every time that he could see this baby doll, he would go into a panic. All the way to the other side of the room. I mean, it was a panic. And I asked Mom, I said, is he like this with babies? And she said, he doesn't like being around babies. He something about babies doesn't sit well with him. And I said, this is connected. There is a connection here. What it means, all of that, guys, I am no expert. I just know that somewhere here, this child in his nervous system had integrated, something happened with the baby. And I implored her to explore that in therapy and explore that in different avenues and have a conversation with this child about what these early developmental experiences were for him. So the inner utero experience has been shown to influence a baby's sense of security, self-esteem, self-confidence, optimism, friendliness, whether a baby is extroverted or introverted. A lot of these different things, our sense of self and how we navigate the world, is really understood in this inner uterine experience before we're born. So beyond that, we can talk about the role of fathers and the role of fertility and conception. And I won't harp on things too much, but I wanted to put this in here because one, many studies have shown the importance of having the father's role in, or a father's role in, the development of a child. And even now there are studies that show, dads are at risk for postpartum depression as well as moms. So there's a lot there in terms of connecting, nervous system support. They say now, make sure that, if dad is in the picture or if dad is not in the picture, how did dad receive the information of being, becoming a father? Was this a good experience? Did dad talk to baby in utero? All of these different things can have an impact on a child's nervous system. And I find this really interesting because I've had friends who've really struggled with their own personal relationships because of their relationship with their father. And I wonder, right, this is just a question, I wonder how much of that has to do with their inner uterine experience and their relationship with their father at that time, right? Again, we have to consider that babies are listening, they are feeling, they are understanding way more than we imagine. Same thing goes with fertility. So I talk to my clients about the role of mindset when they are conceiving, or when they are in a fertility journey, and how all of that really can play a part in their one ability to conceive, yes, but also that first early moments of a child's development. So we've talked about all of these different things and these birth imprints. I wanted to touch on healing trauma. So some of the ways that we can work on healing trauma is by empathetically listening. So when people are telling us about what's gone on with them, we can start to ask questions and respond very empathetically. And this is why it's so important. We say, be kind and empathize, but it really is part of healing. Acknowledging a person's experience is important. Therapy should really start with children, and pediatric chiropractic care is crucial. But again, I am biased. So there's that. Okay, so let me tell you about Kalai. So our mission is to spread the power of holistic, perinatal, and pediatric care. I am a perinatal and pediatric chiropractor. I help moms, and I help moms to be with birthing resources. I give them nutritional guidance, and I make sure that they are well adjusted. So why the benefits? What are the benefits of chiropractic adjustments during pregnancy? So we talked about this baby's experience, right? So in addition to baby's experience during pregnancy, right, we have mom's nervous system that's experiencing a lot of change. And when we talk about nervous system, I'm talking about, or let me back up just a tad bit. Let's talk about just chiropractic for a moment. We have our autonomic nervous system that's got sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. So our sympathetic nerves are going to really help us to, kind of like our fight or flight nerves. That's how it's best understood. And then we've got our parasympathetic nerves that are going to bring things down when we need to. So we've got balance, that autonomic balance, and for how we navigate our emotions, how we navigate different spaces and different environments. So mom's body is experiencing a lot of nervous system change during pregnancy. So in addition to helping make sure that mom's spine is staying well aligned, which is what we typically think of when we think chiropractic, we're thinking alignment, we're thinking joints and spaces, and making sure that they are well aligned. That's certainly the case. But we're also thinking, how well is this communication between the brain and the spine? And again, the nerves from the spine are going towards all the different aspects of our bodies and communicating that information back to the spinal cord and back to the brain. So we're just this big feedback loop, right? So we want to make sure that mom is not sympathetically dominant, super stressed out, and in this, space here during pregnancy. We want our moms to be relaxed, and we want them to be able to navigate the different stages week by week, day by day throughout their pregnancy, so we can have a more comfortable pregnancy, a shorter labor, and of course, an easier birth. Moms who have chiropractic adjustments or who are under chiropractic care have less pain, they have less discomfort, they have shorter labors, and we increase the chance for a mom to have a vaginal birth. And now, when I have a client in my office, I talk to them about the 3 T's. We talk about trauma being one of the components that we address, meaning physical trauma to the body, right? Which could be from lots of different things, every day, sitting for hours, that's going to be traumatic to your body. Sitting in the car for hours could be traumatic. Holding a really heavy book bag could be trauma to the spine. Falling, car accidents, all of those, of course, are traumatic to the spine as well, to the body. But we've got that. We've got another component of it, which is thoughts, right? So we have thoughts that race through our brains all the time, and our thoughts have to have physical manifestations, right? So when you're experiencing a really stressful thought, you may hold that tension in your spine. You may hold it in your shoulders. You may hold it in your traps. You may hold it in your lower back. All of those, different ways that our thoughts are connected to our physical being. And then, of course, we have toxins. So if we're constantly eating fast foods or processed materials, or we live in a space that is very toxic, right? Whether you're exposed to certain gases or chemicals, all of those things also have an impact on your nervous system. So in our office, we talk about those 3 T's, and then we say, okay, we're going to work with your nervous system week by week during your pregnancy so that we can achieve these things. Whether you're pregnant or not, I'm talking to you about those 3 T's. We're talking about the power of chiropractic. We're talking about that mind-body connection and how it's so vital. And so that's really where that wellness component hits in, because now we've taken someone who may have been experiencing pain, right? So nerves that are saying, okay, I'm done, I need help, to a place where their nervous system now knows how to heal. Their body knows how to navigate change, right? So that it's not experiencing pain. So dystocia. Dystocia is when we have a difficult birth. And reasons why we could have a difficult birth can be due to power, or as defined by Williams Obstetrics, is caused by 3 components. One is power, one is passage, and one is passenger. I'm going to go into these a little bit more. So when we talk about power, we're talking about these explosive forces that have to occur so that contractions can happen, so that we have labor, right? And we have to have this coordinated system where these sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves are firing appropriately in order for labor to start and to progress properly. Next, we have passage. So when we talk about passage, we should have a pelvis that's well aligned, so that the passageway, so that the sacral, so that baby's not, hitting the sacrum in a way that it's difficult to have a natural labor and a natural birth. We want to make sure that the pelvis is moving appropriately. And then passenger, right? Where is baby's presentation? Now, I definitely want to make sure that, we understand that as chiropractors, we are not affecting baby's position, right? So sometimes I have moms call and say, hey, my baby is breached. Can you help me? I cannot change baby's positioning. However, using the Webster technique, and I use several different techniques, sometimes what we can do is by just realigning the pelvis, by working with the spine, by loosening tight ligaments, by performing certain exercises, we can have a positive impact on baby's presentation. Okay, but that world of baby is really the obstetric world, not ours. Okay, so again, power. Power is this physiological biomechanical cause termed power by Williams Obstetrics, refers to muscle and nerve dysfunction. So when we go, okay, well, what does a chiropractor have to do with pregnancy? Everything. We're working on muscles. We are looking at nerve dysfunction. What's going on with a mom's pelvis? What's going on with mom's muscles? Is there a tight muscle that we need to address on one side that's not tight on the other? So here in this picture, I have a mom, first-time mommy, who came in and she wasn't sure. She wasn't sure if she should be adjusted. She was scared about labor and birth. And she thought, she heard about chiropractic and thought, let me see, and so this was her first visit, and we're looking at her positioning. I look at, whether baby has dropped appropriately. So I look at the belly button and that angle to her pelvis. So that's why I have her standing on the side like that. And it's just one of the ways that I look and I can visually tell if we're where we're supposed to be. Power. These nerves that innervate the uterus are coming from sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves, and they're coming from different parts of the spine. So the lower thoracic nerves have sympathetic nerves. The lower thoracic spine have sympathetic nerves, and then the parasympathetic nerves from S2, these are sacral nerves. They provide parasympathetic support to the uterus. So we can talk more about that picture, but I thought I love this picture because this is really just evidence of how much this autonomic nervous system support, by getting adjusted during your pregnancy, impacts the uterus, how we can impact the baby's experience. Because if we can make it so that baby has an easier intrauterine experience, or has more space, right, then we can really affect their experience in the womb. And that's really exciting. So passage, this is probably the easiest to understand as from the chiropractic stance, because we're looking at a misalignment. If your pelvis is misaligned, it is going to be hard. It's going to cause challenges. It's going to cause labor to be more difficult. And so our job is to make sure that the pelvis is well aligned. So this is just defining it. The Webster technique is the technique that is specifically designed for pregnancy and making sure that the pelvis has the best chance of staying well aligned and moving appropriately, so that during labor, baby has the ability to make those innate decisions and say, okay, it's time for me to head into the passageway. It's time for me to turn. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I want everyone to remember that labor, mom is experiencing labor, and so is baby. So baby is making decisions, so is mom. Mom is saying, okay, I'm going to do this with my body. I'm going to turn this way. I think I need to do this now. And baby's doing the exact same thing, which is why babies, they're tired and they're sleepy and they're hungry when they're born. So it's quite a lot of work for both mom and for baby. All right. So now we've understood a little bit about this idea of innate intelligence and how, our bodies are constantly communicating information all the time, right? And babies are having this in utero experience, things that they're listening to and hearing and feeling and touching and experiencing. And then we have labor, we have delivery, whatever that looks like, right? Whatever that looks like. And now we have baby. And when we have baby, it's super important. Again, I'm very biased, but it's super important to have our newborns and our babies adjusted. So why is that? When we have birth is oftentimes a very traumatic experience. No matter how beautiful it is, it could be a lot of work on the spine, whether it be a vaginal birth or a C-section delivery. There's a lot of tension in that spine, and when a baby's flexed and is starting to extend for the first time. So through chiropractic adjustments, we start to really address birth trauma. We start to release some of that tension that could be locked up in a baby's cervical spine, maybe even a baby's sacrum. All of these different adjustments are helping babies to start to feed better, latch better, and really making sure that babies are hitting those neurological milestones. So as a perinatal, as a pediatric specialist, my job is to make sure we're doing exams that are really looking to see that, is this baby neurologically intact? Are there things that we should be doing to maybe bring on certain primitive reflexes if they're missing, and things of that nature. So while a lot of people come to the chiropractor because they're experiencing, as adults, they're experiencing low back pain or neck pain, or they migraines or headaches, sometimes, a lot of the people who are calling my office is because, their baby isn't sleeping. So today, for example, I had a kiddo who is 16 months, and mom and dad have tried everything. I mean, everything to get this baby to sleep. And mom came to me and she said, this is a last resort. I have tried everything. I've gone everywhere. We've spent thousands and thousands of dollars. And someone in Australia told me to come to you. And I thought to myself, someone in Australia? I couldn't even believe it. So what ended up happening is a sleep specialist in Australia. Mom had found a sleep specialist in Australia. They got to the ICPA website, which is the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. That is where I got my training in pediatric and perinatal care. They got to that website and then they found me. After just the first visit, this baby had never been adjusted. After just the first visit, mom said, we got to the car and he went to sleep. He went to sleep on his ride home. And she said she couldn't believe it. She turned around to look at him and he was sleeping. And that night he slept for hours and only woke up one time, as opposed to the 4 or 5 times that he's typically waking up. This baby has come to my office. He's toe walking. She showed me pictures of him crawling. He had never really cross-crawled properly. No one really explained to them that there was a lot of nervous system stress in this child. And these very simple, in my opinion, chiropractic adjustments could really make a world of a difference for him. And this child, sometimes with my kiddos, it takes time to build that trust and rapport because what we do is so hands-on. This kiddo let me touch him right away. And after just a few adjustments that day, he comes into the office and he's holding my hand and he's understanding and he's not scared because he also is enjoying getting adjusted and enjoying being able to sleep a little bit better. So this has been it's part of why I do what I do and why I'm here today. So it's important. All right, so making sure that we're hitting our milestones is part of what I do as a chiropractor. And so this kiddo right here, she came in for a wellness check. Mom just said, I'm getting adjusted. I still have some things that are going on with me, changes that my body never really healed from postpartum. And while I'm here, you might as well see my baby. And she did such a great job during her adjustment. This is one of the positions that we have, mom and baby in, so baby is feeling really, really comfortable. And the adjustments are typically done with just my hands. And they're very light, they're very gentle, and children really love it. So benefits of working with a perinatal chiropractor, it's very much a very holistic experience. We're really promoting natural birthing experience. I say that very gently because, what I want is for every child, every mom to experience a beautiful birth. And that can look however you want it to look. When we promote a natural birthing experience, it's because that natural vaginal birth allows babies to make those primitive decisions, those early on decisions, and allows them to pick up on those primitive reflexes that are crucial to their development. And whether that happens or that doesn't happen, part of our job is to make sure that we are making sure our kids are well connected. So statistics. So I couldn't leave a presentation without talking about statistics and the importance of maternal health care in this country, and why it was even more important for me to, take a moment to always speak to anyone who's willing to listen, because we have to address some of these statistics and numbers in our country. So low back pain is a common complaint in pregnancy. It is the reported prevalence of 57 to 69% and an incidence of as high as 61%. But it is very rare that a birthing provider recommends chiropractic care. They typically do so. And again, we are becoming more mainstream. We are starting to really raise awareness around getting adjusted during pregnancy, but we still have a long ways to go. So I encourage everyone here to share this information, and in the hopes that it is helpful to someone out there. Many women experience low back pain and they think, or, birthing people experience low back pain and they think, well, there's nothing to do about this because this is natural. This is what's supposed to happen. I've heard this from my mom. I've heard this from whomever. Oftentimes, though, that is not the case. Pregnancy does not have to be uncomfortable. I've had moms in my office who've had a vaginal birth after a C-section. We have had we've had moms, say, hey, at this point in my pregnancy, my first pregnancy, I had so much pain. I feel great now. Why is that the case? Well, I would like to attribute it to your nervous system is doing what it's supposed to do. You are more comfortable because you've been getting adjusted. The maternal death rate ratio for Black women is 2.5 times the ratio for white women and 3 times the ratio for Hispanic women. So there's definitely a racial component to the statistics as well. And I want to make sure that we're all aware of that, because there should be no reason for there to be such a discrepancy. We should not have the maternal death rates that we have in this country for any pregnant person. So part of what we can do to make sure that we are addressing this is by knowing our options, by looking at natural approaches, by questioning and asking questions when appropriate, and being open to all the different avenues in which birth can happen. And I'll say the last one is the very first one as well, because that one's important. The most recent US maternal mortality is 660 maternal deaths in 2018. So far too many, in my opinion, and there is a lot that we can do to make a change. So you guys have been listening to me very patiently, and I thank you. I will finally introduce myself. I figured that the rest of the information was far more important than who I am. But who I am is Dr. Betel Aklilu. I go by Dr. A. Dr. Betel is perfectly fine. I am Webster certified, which is that pregnancy technique in chiropractic. I am, I've completed over 180 hours of postgraduate training. I have a master's in applied clinical nutrition. I am part of the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. And in my office, we do lots of different things. I don't only see pregnant women, I see, or pregnant persons, I see lots of different people in my office, but I designed my office to be a boutique. I designed it to have time and to have space, because when you're in a wellness journey, that's what that's what I encourage everyone to look for. I encourage us all to look for places and spaces where we feel heard and understood, and people are giving us time wherever that is, whether it's a chiropractic office or any other office. Ask for time, and remember that your story and your experiences are important. to connect with us, our website is www.kalai.org. You can also find us on Instagram or on Facebook. And this number here, the 703-518-7936, is our office number. You can call it, you can text it. I love questions, and I hope you guys have questions because I'm all done. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Dr. Betel. And I think we have a question.
Okay.
Christine.
Oh, it was Marlene that had the question, but I will say thank you so much. This was very informative, especially as I definitely want to have children, or at least a child in the future. And as I am getting up there in age, that's always a concern. But I love this presentation because it just brought so much awareness as far as learning about the imprints, learning about just, how aware they are in the womb and stuff. I mean, I think, it's like you always know, and they always tell you talk to the baby and all that kind of stuff, but just to really how in depth you went with that to really, have that sink in, like, oh my gosh, there's so much that plays a role, and so it definitely probably has me tiptoeing a little bit when I get to that stage, because I definitely want the best experiences possible for my baby. And I'm not gonna lie, I've always been terrified of going to see a chiropractor. I've never actually been, so I don't even know why I'm scared. I guess just because of all the, I guess the movies and things that you see on TV about how they adjust people and
Right.
bones cracking and stuff like that. Just has me like, oh no, I don't like unnecessary pain. So I think that's probably what I equate it to.
Yeah.
Is that from seeing those things. But this has definitely got me like, okay, definitely when I'm in that stage, because I already have like some lower back issues and stuff like that, that when I do get pregnant, that probably may come up more. I'm hoping not, but I wouldn't be surprised, put it that way. So it definitely has me like, okay, I would really consider this a lot. So thank you so much. And I actually have a friend who is like a huge besides Alice, someone else who's actually a huge proponent for getting seeing a chiropractor regularly. And she even had her children go and get it done and stuff as well. I am curious to ask her if she ever got it done when she was pregnant. She probably has, but I just, can't recall like when she would go, but I know she always went regularly. So I would not be surprised with 3 children. But yeah, so it definitely has me excited to add this to my wellness plan for when that does come about. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. And Anna, how about you?
I just want to say thank you. Very useful information. Huge believer of chiropractic. So yeah, definitely up my alley there. Yeah, and it's good to see how well it can help everyone, right? Not just the mom. So,
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. When you say up my alley, what are you referring to?
Just holistic healing in general.
Yeah.
So
I love
appreciate it.
that. I think the people who understand or utilize chiropractic during these stages are typically those, and this is just typically, right, who have explored other forms of holistic healing. They're just, I have found them to gravitate towards it a little faster because, if you've ever experienced Reiki or sound healing, I mean, so many different things, it changes your mind, it changes your perspective on what healing is. And touch by itself, you guys, is quite powerful. So I think that's what allows chiropractic to be so powerful, because there's a lot of energy healing there too. And I'm glad, I'm very I'm very happy that you guys found it helpful. Christine, I would say that, you know, it's interesting. I encourage you to maybe sit in and watch somebody getting adjusted. And I want you to know too, that there are also lots of different ways to get adjusted. So it doesn't always have to involve the popping and the cracking. And I always tell everyone, like, can anything in chiropractic be quiet? Like, can't it just be quiet? The tables are loud, the activator gets loud. I'm just, I just want it to be quiet, because sometimes just the noises and the sounds alone really hinders, you know, people who may be open to trying it, but mainstream media has really put out lots of popping and cracking. So there's more to it, but I'm excited for you to try it out one day. And while the birth imprints, you know, it's important, and it's important for us to acknowledge. It's also equally as important for us to remember that we're having imprints, whether they're positive or negative. And so we're just constantly seeking healing and finding ways to promote healing throughout life. So I don't want you to think, like, oh no, this is a scar. I don't want it to leave that impression. Pregnancy alone has a lot, you know, to make someone think of.
For sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and again, Dr. Betel, the only thing I wanted to add is the conversation that I had with you in the beginning was that chiropractic, I was under chiropractic care for 14 years. And I know that without his help, I would never be in the place I am today, because I have my spine is like an S. It literally is curved. I've lost, I was 5'8.5", I'm 5'4.5". I've lost 4 inches of my height, and that compression has gone down. And again, as that compression has gone down, again, I would be in horrendous pain, but for the fact that I now go into, I felt that the 14 years that I had the chiropractic adjustments, I know that I was going to a chiropractor once a month. And then he basically told me, he says, the last time he adjusted me was like in January, and I didn't, he said, call me when you need me. Well, I realized, my God, it's December, and I hadn't called him. So I went one more time, and I just said, is there anything else you need to do for me? And again, he adjusted me, and he says, no, you're fine. And in the intervening 20 years, I've only gone to him one time, because every other time I've been able to take care of myself with Reiki, with energy healing. So, but to me, it's like, this is a given, you know, this is something that you do. I never understood, and I so agree with you. I never knew that, would have never thought of connecting chiropractic with pregnancy. So this is so worth putting this message out there, and I'm glad that you helped us, and then we can help you by keeping it on the website, you know, for this. So I'm really very, very grateful to you for, again, introducing us to something new. That to me is so critical, you know, so important. Always blessings. And if nobody else is on the line, let's go into our prayer. The only thing is that the way I have it set up, do you want to, I don't see the participants outside of Christine and Anna. So if you're in the background, because I think there's 3 more people online, or at least 2 more people online. If you're in the background, we're going to do our prayer now. We do a closing prayer. And then if you would like to add people, just as after the 4 of us finish, then just add your, you know, the people that you'd like to add in. So very gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Dear Mother, Father, God, Divine, Infinite Spirit, Source of all that is, I thank you so much for this presentation from Dr. Betel, who introduced us to a whole new world of chiropractic healing. I thank you for the assistance of the angels, the archangels, the ascended masters, the Reiki masters. And I ask for special healing for the following: for my son, my daughter-in-law, and my grandbaby, my daughter and her new husband, and the Jones family, the Sweeney family, the Zarnopis family, and all the people that are participating right now in the Olympics, and their special brand of healing that they bring with their unity through sports. All those who are involved in peacemaking efforts, especially those who are trying desperately to keep a war from breaking out in Ukraine through Russia, and all those who are stuck in refugee camps. And certainly in keeping with the title of today's speech, all the new souls that are coming to earth, that are preparing to be born around the world, that they may have as easy of a journey as prayerfully possible for them. And Christine, we'll go with you next.
I would like to ask for healing for my mom, for my dad, for Sam, for John, for myself, for my grandmother, for Cricket, McKinley, for Barb and Mita, as well as Gaia, all those that are, you know, mamas and mamas to be and wanting children. Bless them. And as Alice said, the souls that are coming in. I would also like to ask for healing around COVID, as well as the ISIS situation and the Ukraine and Russia situation as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Anna?
I'd like to ask for my father, well, my family, my friends, and anyone that's in need, so they receive everything that they need.
Thank you. And those who are in the background, well, I guess there isn't anybody. All right, Dr. Betel.
I would like to ask for healing for the entire Aklilu family, and for anyone who has experienced the loss of a child, who is struggling to conceive, for Lomi, Lucy, and Layla, and for anyone in need of healing.
And we thank you again for this presentation, for the uniqueness of its message. And we ask for your blessings on Dr. Betel's practice. And we thank you for the assistance of Jesus and Master Kutumi, Master Jesus, Master Buddha, Saint Germain, Saint Gabriel, Saint Raphael, Saint Michael, the Blessed Mother, the Divine Feminine, Mary Magdalene, Moses, Metatron, Melchizedek, Mohammed, and Kuan Yin. We ask to be cleared, centered, aligned, balanced, and grounded, and that whatever comes in for each of us, for our healing, come in for our highest good. We also ask to be clear channels of light for Metatron and his healing angels, so that we each receive the highest vibrations of light possible. We also ask for the assistance of the great rays, the lords and masters of the rays, and the archangels of the rays. We ask all of this in the name of Jesus the Christ and in the name of I Am. Amen. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.
And everybody have a great week. And it was wonderful seeing you and meeting you, and the best of luck to the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Yeah, bye everyone.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alice.
Oh, you're so welcome. You are so welcome. And is your office in Washington, D.C. or in New York?
It's in Washington. I mean, close to Washington, D.C. I'm in Arlington, Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, okay. So effectively, yeah, because that's where I thought you were local here, because you're part of Wendy's networking group and everything. But honestly, I can't get over how much I enjoyed this. Because in the future, I feel that I mean, anytime I see a pregnant lady and I have any influence on it, I will send her to you. I will suggest that she come, because to me, chiropractic has been such a staple in my life. And even though I haven't, like I said, I've only had to use him once
Right.
in 20 years, it didn't matter. He got me where I am today.
Right.
And it was through his work that I was able to, somehow or other maintain my adjustment and everything. So anyway,
It's life-changing.
it absolutely is. So anyway, God bless you for doing what you do.
Work. I think that's the best thing we can do for chiropractic. Continue to share our story
Exactly.
and
Exactly. And yeah, and make every effort that you can to introduce this topic, because like you said, it's just not known yet.
right.
And it's got to become known, because people will every time when something is brand new to them, they're a little queered out, but this, they, like I once heard somebody say, somebody has to hear something 6 times before they hear it the first time. And so you have to continue sharing that out there and everything.
Record. Like sometimes I feel like I sound crazy, but I'm like, no.
And don't even go there.
Yeah.
Don't even put that thought out there. It's like I feel so blessed because I teach Reiki, and I feel so blessed that of all the healing modalities,
Right.
I chose the one that I know is known around the world, literally. But I just feel so great with that. But I know when I started, the first question was, what's that?
Right.
20 years ago, what's that? What's Reiki? Now, nobody asks me that. Oh, oh, I know somebody who does it, or, oh, yeah, I know what that is, or something like that. So you'll get there too. So. All right, sweetie.
All right. You take care. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.